Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. We have a super exciting video for you guys today. We are talking about the new Callaway Apex line. This includes the Apex MBs, Apex CBs, the Apex Hybrids, Apex Pro Hybrids, and also there's one more, Apex TCB irons, which are particularly interesting, and I will be telling you guys why in a moment. So let's start out with the Apex MBs, then we'll work our way through the line, finishing up with the hybrids. So the Apex MBs, they look stunning. You gotta check this out. They look unbelievable. They might be the best looking blade I have seen released for quite a while, and there are some good looking blades out there. If you do play a blade and you're looking for a new set of irons in 2021, these will probably be very close to the top of your list, if not right at the top to try. They feature a large tungsten weight, which they're calling an energy core, in the back of the head. They have a whole bunch of new technology to create more consistent spin levels, and if you're coming out of rough, to minimize flyers out of the rough, and a whole bunch of new information with these irons. And honestly, we don't get new technology in blades very often, so it is quite exciting. They're going to be a very difficult iron, obviously, to use for the average golfer. They're made for better players. But there are some really interesting things about these irons, such as that tungsten weight in it or not. You can even dial in the swing weight of these, which affects the center of gravity of the clubs. So, pretty cool fitting concept there, and also to help kind of add forgiveness. Obviously John Ram has just switched to Callaway as well, so it will be interesting to see which of this Apex line he is adding to his bag. I believe it might be a combo set of maybe Apex MBs in the maybe pitching wedge to 7-iron, and then he might move into the Apex Pros in some of the longer irons. John Ram with Callaway did previously use some of the P7, I think he used the P760s, and then before that he used the P750s and 70s. So he doesn't typically play a blade that I'm aware of, but it will be interesting to see which clubs he chooses from this line. And he's such a good ball striker that if he's using them, you know they're going to be exceptional clubs. Right, let's move on to the Apex TCB irons. Now, I don't quite understand these irons too much, and I'll tell you why. Callaway obviously just released the X Forge irons as well, and I just don't quite understand where these fit into the overall Callaway iron lineup. They look quite like the X Forged. It looks like they have kind of a similar bit of technology to do with the weighting in the club head. It says it features a Tour-tuned faceplate on the back and tungsten weighting to maximize performance. If you guys didn't see the video I did on the X Forged irons, maybe check that out, because I talked a lot about new technology in those, which it sounds like this is going to be pretty much the same. It does say these are designed for tour players and elite golfers, so they will be quite traditional lofts, bounces and blade lengths, so they may be a little bit less forgiving than the X Forged. The X Forged blade length is quite long, so they are quite forgiving. These may be in slightly more of a player's head, but to me that's the only difference I can really kind of see. They do feature a hollow body, So yeah, it's not a solid metal club head. You have that gap. And yeah, I'm very interested to try them out. I don't understand at the moment where they fit in, but moving on to the Callaway Apex Pro irons. These are a very, very interesting iron, but a very exciting iron personally for me, because I previously owned, and well, I still own, they're still upstairs, the Callaway Apex 60, Callaway Apex Pro 16 irons. That's 2016. They are still to this day one of my favorite irons I've ever used. They felt incredible to hit. They performed very, very well. They looked good down at the ball, which for me is very important. I now use blades because I like to see something small down at the ball. I don't like a thick top line, just aesthetics, just doesn't suit my eye. And the Apex Pro lineup has always featured quite a small club head for a cavity back, basically. You know, they're competing against the likes of the Titleist CB irons, so they are kind of a little bit of forgiveness, but they're definitely still a player's iron. They're going to be on tour a lot, and honestly, I think these look stunning. I really do think they look very clean. I didn't like the looks of the Callaway Apex Pro 19s. I didn't think they looked... they were just, if you remember them, they were all chrome and they looked very, very shiny. And I live in England, golf courses are wet and muddy. Golf clubs are not going to stay like that for very long. These feet look a lot better to my eye. They look pretty clean. They have like quite a minimal design, but definitely look good. Apparently they feature a lot more tungsten weighting in them, a lot more tungsten inside them. They call it apparently an energy core, this tungsten weight, which is apparently a 90-gram plate which sits inside the middle hollow section of the golf club. Apparently this is the largest amount of tungsten in any Apex club, which is pretty interesting. That they're definitely adding more tungsten to this line, and this is actually a trend we're going to talk about in a moment, and we're going to talk about with some of the other clubs. Why is this good for us as golfers? Well, more weight lower in the head means the golf ball is going to be easier to launch, easier to get into the air, be able to launch it higher, and it also adds forgiveness, which for most of us, myself included, would definitely be of benefit. So there is a conscious effort to make these clubs more forgiving from Callaway, but there is some other things going on with these irons which have really caught my eye, which you can't see from the inside, or from the outside, sorry. So, it's a hollow club head, which is still forged, so it's still going to be very soft, but it's a hollow club head that then you will have that tungsten weighting in as well. And there's something called Callaway's Urethane Microspheres, which apparently gives you better sound and feel at impact. Now, what are these? So it's a piece of urethane, which I think is like a kind of plastic, a soft plastic with 500,000 minuscule hollow spheres inside of it. This is apparently positioned so they are touching the back of the club face. So at impact, these are then compressed and absorb any unwanted vibrations, which basically means it's going to improve the feel at impact for you, and also should improve the sound a little bit as well, give you that really kind of soft, compressed, flushed feel and sound. which I don't really know if they're going to affect performance, but feel is obviously important for, you know, well, all golfers really. And when we're choosing a golf club, that's why we don't always choose the best performing golf club. Sometimes we want a golf club that also, for most of us, is very good looking, that we enjoy using, and which feels great when we strike a good shot. So that's a really, really, really cool piece of technology I'm very interested in. It kind of reminds me a little bit of PXG a while ago. Were doing something very, very similar with their drivers, where they had, I believe it was urethane in them as well, but it was some kind of soft plastic inside. I believe it was on the back of the club head as well. I might be wrong, but I believe that was the case. We talked about it in the previous PXG fitting video I did on the driver. So if you do want more information, you can check that out. And that was quite similar. It had these a lot larger holes in it, but it was designed to give better sound and feel off a driver. And I have to say, it was probably my favorite driver I've ever hit in terms of feel. It felt incredible. It felt so soft and had the most satisfying sound. I actually can't describe it. If you've hit it before, you'll probably be commenting down below going, that's exactly what I thought. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about the Callaway Apex irons. So we've got so far we've talked about the Callaway Apex MBs, Callaway, God, I'm going to forget the name of this, Apex TCB irons. I believe that stands for Tour Cavity Back. So that's how you can remember it, I guess. And then Callaway Apex Pro irons, now you have the Callaway Apex irons. So they're still a forged iron. They're slightly more of a distance and forgiveness iron to appeal more to the mass market, really. They look good. I don't think they look as good as some of the others. They look pretty clean. There's nothing wrong with them. I just think maybe, I don't know, just personally for me, I prefer some of the looks of the Apex Pro and stuff. But these feature apparently 5 times more tungsten in them than the previous iteration of these irons, which is going to help with forgiveness on off-center strikes, which, let's face it, for the average golfer, yeah, that's most strikes, really, isn't it? You're going to get more distance from this model, but their aim is to not lose out on feel. So the body of the iron is 100% forged, and again, they're using the same technology with those urethane microspheres, with apparently some new shaping as well. So really, for, you know, most golfers, these tick a lot of boxes. So if you want an iron that's forgiving, that feels good, is forged, is going to go a long way, looks pretty good. I mean, I don't think they look bad by any. I just think some of the others look better. I mean, these should probably be on your list to try out if you're anywhere between maybe a 14 handicap up to anything up to 36. You'd probably want to try these out. And even in some of the longer irons, if you wanted, you'd probably be able to get yourself a combo set of like Apex and Apex Pro, Apex and some of the longer irons for a bit of extra distance and forgiveness, and then Apex Pro and some of the shorter irons. I think that will be a way that a lot of golfers would go. But that is not the only iteration in the Callaway Apex lineup. We then have the Callaway Apex DCB irons. Okay, bear with me. So apparently the new DCB irons have been added to the Apex line to give golfers the chance to play a deep cavity back in a forged player's club shape. So again, we're talking even more forgiveness, even more tungsten. They feature 50 grams of tungsten energy core again per club. This allows Callaway to very precisely control the center of gravity in each iron to get the correct launch and more forgiveness for you when you go and get custom fit. I mean, this is a lot of irons that they're releasing in this lineup, and my only guess is they will be offering a huge variety of combo sets between these irons, between Apex, Apex Pro, Apex DCB, Apex TCB, and Apex MB. I mean, I think combo sets are a great way to go for a lot of golfers, because most golfers can hit their 7-iron down to pitching wedge pretty consistently, but as soon as you put a 6-iron in their hand, or even a 5 or a 4 or a 4 or 5-iron, that strike gets a lot more inconsistent. So a bit of extra forgiveness, a bit of extra distance in those irons is probably not going to be a bad thing. Also a bit of extra launch as well, with, you know, more tungsten lower in the head and everything like that. And you're not going to be sacrificing forgiveness because they all have a forged club head. And it doesn't say these, oh, they do have the urethane microspheres, the DCBs. So you're going to get, in theory, the same feel and sound, basically. So it's a no-brainer, really. You've got all your bases covered with this range of irons. But now let's talk about the hybrids. We have two hybrids. We have the Apex Pro hybrids, which are aimed at pros and low handicap golfers. Apparently these feature a fixed hosel, which I personally am a little bit disappointed in. I like an adjustable hosel. They feature a squarer iron look at the ball at address, which apparently is typically what pros and better players prefer to see over the ball. That will be interesting. Then we've got the Apex 21 hybrid. Apparently this is designed more as a player's distance offering that would suit a wider variety of handicap golfers. Apparently features new ball speed technology and game improvement features, all packaged into a pretty small, compact club head. They apparently will be very high launching, very forgiving, feature again a rather large amount of tungsten weight in each club head, moving the center of gravity lower, give you that high launch that for most of us want. I mean, I put a hybrid in my bag because I want to be able to launch the ball high. If I need to carry a bunker on like a dog leg of a fairway or hitting into a green on a par 5, I think that's a great, you know, shot to be able to have, and a great club to rely on for that shot. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting. These will actually have an adjustable hosel as well, so that a fitter can dial in the exact loft and trajectory that you want. It's very interesting to me that these have an adjustable hosel, but the Apex Pros don't. It does look, there is some sort of weight on the bottom as well, so maybe we'll see interchangeable weights on there possibly as well. Apparently there is some new tech as well with these. Apparently they actually feature jailbreak technology, which we've seen in Callaway's drivers for a while. Apparently Callaway used their supercomputer and in designing these clubs, as they're doing with a lot of their clubs nowadays. And we're seeing a huge amount of clubs come out from Callaway, by the way. If you haven't seen my previous driver videos, go check them out to see what drivers and woods are coming out. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the new hybrids. They will be available in 19 degrees, which kind of, I don't know if I'd call that a 3 or 2 hybrid, maybe a 2 hybrid. So it's 19, 21, 24, 27. So you'll have a pretty wide variety to choose from there, and if you want to put 4 hybrids in the bag, you could do that. You know, I would think that would be a good option for a lot of older golfers who, you know, maybe their swing speed's a little bit lower. They want to get that ball up and in the air as fast as possible. Definitely a good option. So let's talk about price quickly, and then we'll wrap this video up. The hybrids will be coming out apparently at £249. Pretty standard price, I would say, for hybrids. Definitely not cheap, but pretty ballpark. The irons will be 100, I wish. £1,089. That's for steel shafts. If you wanted graphite, they'll be 1,399. I think that's quite a fair price, especially a starting price. You know, irons do tend to drop reasonably quickly, I would say. After a few months, they might be down in some retailers well below £1,000. With a lot of the new technology that's gone into these, they're not a crazy price, which is great to see, because we have seen in the last few years golf clubs reach new heights of crazy heights of price wise, like the Epic irons. I think they came out at £2,000 for a set. It might have even been more than that. You will be able to have a pretty good choice of stock shafts in these. I'm not going to go through them. I don't think, you know, there's not really any point. If you want to try these clubs, I recommend going to Get Fit for them. If you're paying that amount for them, it normally doesn't cost anything to go get custom fit. And these clubs sound like they are pretty customizable as well, so well worth a visit to your local fitter or whoever you trust. I recommend getting a decent quality custom fit at a professional studio or location, if you can. If you're in the UK, it doesn't look like we'll be able to do that anytime soon, unfortunately, but we can only hope. Also, when these irons they have been actually released, so you actually should be able to go get them pretty soon and test them out, and also order them pretty soon and probably get them for around the end of this month, ready for the golf season in a few months' time. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's been a long one today, but there was a lot of products to talk about. I mean, I tried to give you guys as much information as I possibly can on these, as much as I can find, and I'm very excited to test them out, and I will be bringing you guys more content and information as soon as I have it. So give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear them, guys. As always, I'll see you in the next one, and you know what to do. Grip it and rip it.